How you doing within?
Hey man, we doing good, brother. Just on the process of I have my own understanding, but I'm always willing to hear y'all out, bro, because it's always different reasons and understandings that we can always come to when we come together. I could,
Sure.
because it's only so much information I could do when I'm by myself. You know what I'm saying? But when I come together, I start to realize there's a lot more that I still need that still need to be learned. And I'm here to learn. And also, if I whenever I chime in, I give y'all my understanding of what y'all told me, and then y'all can elaborate so I can understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a couple basic questions then. At your current stage in your journey, are you a Christian?
No, sir.
Okay, where are you at?
I'm in a standpoint as to there's an intrinsic design that wasn't necessarily created by a being. It it's like I look at it as energy, right? But I'm not saying something created that energy though, right? So it's like us being able to talk for you to comprehend what I'm saying. There are energy waves between us that are occurring for us to even comprehend what's going on, but we can't see the waves. It's like when you go outside and you feel air, but you can't see it. That's how I look at it. So there's an intrinsic design that we can't see though,
Sure.
but it's
Is
not
there a
created
way
by
to
something.
interact with it?
Yeah, we're interacting with it right now by talking.
No, no, no. I'm referring to like divine entities, spiritual entities.
Divine entities. Okay, so yeah, now that's important to go into because these divine spirits and entities are what I consider to be aspects of who you are, as well as they can be perceived outside of you, because that's how uh uh matter. Oh, I'm gonna say that's how energy works. Energy has to be experienced for you to understand what it is in the first place,
Well,
right?
I'm going to agree with you a little bit. So,
Okay.
energy, as far as science is concerned, is more of a property than a stuff. Like energy
Mhm.
is like a measured rate of change in the stuff that is around us, even the stuff that's not visible to our naked eyeballs, right? But energy itself isn't a thing. It's not a stuff. It's just a property of stuff. Does that make sense?
It's the property of the things, right? Yeah,
Right.
it's what the things are made of,
Right. Like,
in a
so,
way,
like,
right?
if I said this pen is black, right? Black is a property of the pen, but black itself is not a thing that exists. It's just a property of things that do exist.
So in that property is energy, right?
Well,
So
the
so what is the
property, like we
gotcha.
have collections of properties that we refer to as energy. Like, so um, when an atom is, or we'll say when a photon is moving through space, right?
Mhm.
The position and the speed of that photon is what we define as energy, right? But the what we call energy is just really describing the way stuff behaves.
Okay, so when I'm referring to energy, I'm not coming from contemporary science view because it's very limited. I'm not coming. I'm coming from teachings that I studied that's called the freedom teachings, Melchizedek, Cloister, Emerald Order teachings. Right. So this is why I'm not just coming from an inner, like, even though my name says it's all within. I say that because I had to go within to even come up with the idea to want to study in the first place. I didn't just, what I'm saying? It didn't just come from nowhere. It came from within. You know what I'm saying? But it was catalyzed by things outside of me, which is I was a Christian at one point and I left because I didn't see God. You know what I'm saying? So I was looking for tangible evidence as to why God exists and I didn't see anything. I went directly to God, right? And I didn't see nothing. So I was like, and I became an atheist at one point. I just thought everything was just like, okay, life is just what it is. And this is when I was 21 years old.
No,
I'm
you were so
24 now.
close.
Yeah. So at 24 years old, at 21 years old, I was an atheist, right? I was just saying everything is just what it is, man. And basically around that time, I was in a dream state. So I would just go with the flow in a way and not have direction, right? So when I was doing that, I noticed myself still being lost. Like I wasn't, like I still had things within me that I was dealing with that I tried to block out at 21 years old. That's what I was doing, right? So now I reached a point to where I realized that the reason that I can say, I'm not going to say y'all, but me personally, the reason that I'm going through the things that I'm going through is because Because my thing is, I'm not here to put my beliefs on no one. So the only thing I can refer to my understandings is as what I study, right? So I'm not here to put nothing on y'all. I'm just telling y'all what I think it is, right? So
Well,
you can
let me
you can
ask you.
elaborate.
Let me ask you a question. What would lead us to believe that? I assume you believe that spirits in the spirit realm exist.
Yeah, I believe in different frequency bands and spin rates of existence. So like what like we're existing in a certain frequency band right now. So and how I know it's true is because we have a dream state. How does a dream state occur? How do we exist in a world beyond this world when we go to sleep?
So the dream state
You
is.
don't.
Thank you,
And
Ems.
also, I do not dream. I
Say it one more
personally do not
time.
have dreams because of a condition I have.
I can't understand you.
Ems says that not everyone dreams. He actually has a condition where he doesn't dream.
I
Okay,
have
I can
aphantasia,
believe that.
complete
Look,
aphantasia.
yeah,
So I do
I
not
can
have any
understand
dreams.
that too. I can understand that.
Right. So like the dream is like, your brain is capable of producing images. Like we're doing it right now with our eyeballs, right? Going feeding the brain and we're
Right,
producing
right.
its own images. But the brain is also capable of recalling images, right? The same way it's capable of recalling sounds and smells,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
right?
I agree. Yeah.
It is not a
So,
different realm.
so do you feel that the? Oh, I'm not gonna say do you feel. So, when I okay, I completely agree with that because I feel like this is all that what we're seeing is being projected by our brain, right? That's what yeah, right. So I feel that the brain is basically a filter for something. It's not just boom, the brain, and now we see this, right? I think that there was an actual. I think that there's an intrinsic energetic. Like for example, I didn't just so happen to be on this live. I came here out of strategic. I was looking for a live where I can have a conversation about this. So this was all strategic, which makes it
You
well.
do,
My look,
guest.
the intrinsic part of it is this is who I am. That's
Guest,
the natural. That's
you
the
keep
natural
saying
part.
a lot of words in
Oh, okay,
very
okay, my
vague
fault.
ways. Like
I
for
don't want to
example,
say
you
it.
said frequency bands. When he asked you about demons, you said frequency bands. What does that even mean? How does
Okay,
that
gotcha.
relate to
Evaluate?
demons?
You want me to evaluate on what
Like
frequency bands
you're
are?
using words, not
No, I'm
specifically
asking. Do
frequency
you
word.
look?
I
But do
don't
you
care
want me
about the
to
frequency
evaluate?
bands. I'm saying that you're using words. Like for example, that the brain is filtering. What does that even mean? What is it filtering?
Okay,
You're
look,
not giving any
look.
context. You're
If
just
you
saying words vaguely.
look, if I'm going somewhere that you have a hard time understanding, I'm willing to break it down if you want me to break it down. Like, I'm not finna just go off on my own
I want you to
tangent.
be more specific.
Right.
You're
Okay,
saying
So
gotcha.
filtering. What is it filtering?
I
So
got you. But I'm gonna listen.
I think one of the reasons why these miscommunications happen is because you've developed your own vocabulary to speak about things, and you're
Okay,
using words in ways that they're not normally used, or at least not used in the way that they were developed to be used. So sometimes
okay,
when you use like these phrases, it might be best to clarify what you actually mean.
okay, gotcha. All
Right.
right. So,
So what's a frequency band?
a frequency band is where energy comes to a point where it comes together. And when I say energy, I think of particles,
It's not
right?
a.
Those. Okay. Well, I mean, if you think it's wrong, I mean, if you would, you can elaborate, or do you want me to continue? Because I know it hits a point. You know what I'm saying? If you want to elaborate and tell me why it's wrong, or you want me to continue and finish?
This is my personal Pearl Harbor. So a frequency
Okay,
band is so frequencies essentially moves in waves. They oscillate, right? The band is usually
gotcha.
the
Yep.
peak and the trough of the oscillation. Like so, you might have a frequency that's between 5 and 25 hertz. That's a frequency band. That's the limitation on the amplitude for that particular frequency, right? So when I hear the words frequency band, I'm thinking, well, it's just a certain frequency that has a bottom and a lower limit.
Right. So you don't think that there's a limit to where I wish you can exist within that frequency band?
No, I don't
It's
think
like,
we
for
exist
example,
in a
it's like
frequency band. No.
it's like for example, like music can be seen as a frequency band because it has certain hertz. So
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're listening to,
vibrations.
so when you got headphones in or you actually like this song, you're existing within that song as you're listening to it.
No, no, no. We're not in the
You're taking
song.
on, so you're taking all that.
What?
So because the song is giving off energy,
It's
that's why you're able to
crazy.
feel it.
No,
That's why
no,
you're
no.
feeling it in the first place.
The speaker in my ear, like this speaker is giving off energy, and the pulses
And
from
it's
that speaker, the air pulses, are pulsing on my eardrum.
right.
But So that's the only energy being had is like my eardrum being acted upon by airwaves.
But so, do you not think that the pulses within your speaker is filtering out some energy for you to single out and understand that why it's pulsing,
Nah.
or it's just pulsing because that's what it's programmed to do?
It's pulsing because of electromagnetic induction, which causes
Exactly.
a coil to induce a field around a magnet, and it produces because of the way the audio works. It produces a wave that is proportional to a sound frequency, and it causes the
Right.
speaker to move that is proportional to
Was
that sine wave. And
so
those
it's filtering.
pulses of air, not filtering, those pulses of air then get pushed into our eardrums, and that's how we hear things. But there's no filtering happening.
Because you mentioned electromagnetic frequencies. It's filtering those frequencies.
No, it's not filtering anything. It's producing.
So where did the electromagnetic frequencies come from then?
It's being
Is
produced.
it the earphones?
It's being produced by the conductor.
Within the earphones?
Yeah, it's being produced, not filtered.
So electromagnetic energy is not intrinsic. I'm gonna say that's just. But when I say I mean natural, it's not natural to existence. Electromagnetic frequency, energy.
No, it does exist in nature. I mean, we can just find electricity in nature, like in the human body. Sarah knows, she's a physiologist. Ems knows the body has electricity. It's just intrinsic. But the question is, what is the nature of hearing? And the nature of hearing isn't filtering anything out.
Yes, it is, because for us to have a conversation, for you to have a response, you're filtering what I'm saying so you can word it in a way that you understand it. So
What
when you respond,
what do you
you
think
have
the
your own
word what do you
you
think the word
responding.
filter means?
Filter means it's a process at which when you it's like when you're talking to me, I'm listening to you, right? And I'm filtering what you're saying. Like it's like word like how you said some words that I'm saying don't make sense. Like it's not adding up because it's not it's being filtered through
R-
your
No, it is because you're not elaborating.
listen,
You're
wait,
being
listen,
vague.
it's coming too. It's coming too. Because it's being filtered through your senses, but from my understanding, it's not making sense to you because I'm not saying it in a way that it makes sense to you.
what
And now I'm trying to word it in a way that it does.
Can I ask a general
So I'm not
question
losing
here?
y'all. I don't want to lose y'all. But yeah, I'm listening.
So
We're listening. Yeah.
you are describing to us some natural functions with some extra words. Is your general perspective that the way the world works, the way we see and hear and experience, that the whole thing is supernatural in some way? Like, are you trying to get us to understand that you think something sort of magical is happening?
I don't necessarily look at it as magical or supernatural because it just happens. It's not necessarily just happens though. It all has a design. Like
Can
it's
you
meant
tell me
so that
what you
it's meant.
believe
It's like
about
it's
this energy in like one sentence? Like summarize your
summarize it all. Okay,
worldview
gotcha.
in one sentence.
All of this boils down to what occurs after death.
Okay,
That's
what occurs after death?
okay. Boom. So this is where it all ends for me, and then y'all can go on about.
Well,
So
I want to hear this conversation, but I apologize. I have to step
I'm
out
gonna
and
say
relieve
number
myself. But
live.
please keep this going. I can hear the whole thing.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna summarize it. So what I think occurs, what I feel like, I don't think it occurs for everybody, but because we all have our personal understandings of what occurs. But what I feel occurs in dream. I mean, when you unalive, is you enter into a state. Your body will enter in. Well, as your soul is leaving your body, it enter into a state of hyper reaction, right? It doesn't just shut off. Like even when you get unalive to the head, it doesn't just shut off, man. It doesn't just like a light switch. It's a process at which it was still processes going on with your body as that action happened, right? It didn't just shut off. So there was an occurrence that happened. It was a process at which your body began to wind down, and then you're able to your frequency energy. I'm gonna just say energy because I don't want to keep mixing two words up. But energy, it's all energy, right? Your energy is now able to merge with your soul because it's not connected to the body no more. Your consciousness is not filtered through your body no more. It's now your soul.
Okay,
So
so what you're
that's
saying is when we pass away,
Mhm.
our soul leaves our body,
Yes, ma'am.
and where does it go?
it goes to a okay. What happens is like this is where do y'all understand what I mean by frequency bands, or should I use the word dimensions instead?
Dimension would be much
Way
clearer.
better. Okay, got you. All right. So the next dimension up that we experience even in the dream state is the fourth dimension. That's why it appears that way sometimes. Like even having nightmares, or sometimes it's hard to move in the dream state, or sometimes things are happening too fast. Sometimes it's just black and white. Sometimes it's just dark. Sometimes you do see color. It's a
So,
little faint,
uh
right? So
so
it's a
for
lot of
me,
happening. So
when I
look,
do
look,
it,
look, look, and you see
go
how
ahead.
Benai said that to the shadow realm. That's what I'm not gonna go into that though. But that's what beings that study these things, like beings that are. I'm not gonna go into that, bro. I'm not gonna go into that
I'm
because it's a
asking,
whole
like, for
nother.
me, as a person who doesn't dream, am I
It's
unable to travel through this channel realm?
you are you able to what?
Am I able to travel through dimensions like you
Yeah,
are?
yeah, you are. You are. Everybody is.
But why do I not dream then?
Hmm.
Then why do I not dream if I'm able to travel dimensions like you are?
Okay. You don't dream because there's a frequency block.
And what is a frequency
But
block?
I'm not trying to diagnose you though. I'm not here to diagnose. I'm just coming from my standpoint, okay? And you asked the question, so I'm not diagnosing you or nothing. All right. This is just from what I know. Like you're not able to.
Wait, I'm sorry.
You're
Before
not
you
able
keep
to think
going,
outside the.
I want to focus on what you just said. So, what is your evidence that this is happening? All of this. How did you arrive at these conclusions?
Okay. Should I just go into how I came to this? Like, cause it go. I'm gonna summarize it as fast as I
Yeah,
can.
because
Okay.
this is important because we've got a medical doctor and a PhD physiologist on the board right now. So listen, maybe we can discover something new. I've never heard of a frequency block.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So this is what how I got to this study, right? I'm gonna summarize it, but it's all important. Okay, just try to if you need me to stop and evaluate, I got you. Okay. So this all started at 9 years old. I seen these beings, bro. I was in the back of my mom's car when I woke, like, and it wasn't a dream. I woke up and I opened the door to run away because I was scared. Well, what was that, right? I woke up and I looked out the window because they left me in the car. I fell asleep and I went to the third row. It was 12 o'clock at night. They left me in the car and I woke up and looked up and I said, "What the?" And I was like, "Mom, where are you?" And mom gone. Where's she? Upstairs asleep. You know what I'm saying? We picked up my dad at 12 a.m. and now it's probably 2 a.m. and I took a nap. So I woke up and and what I seen was like it was like, and it wasn't a dream, bro. Like, cause I remember everything that I did to get out of that to get
Sure,
out
it
of that
wasn't.
situation. Okay, got it. So when I seen it, it was like white, like you know what ghosts look like they float in the midair and yeah.
Actually, I
So
don't know what a ghost
look,
looks like because I've never seen one.
okay, so yeah, when I was 9 years
I
old,
think
when I
that is a
seen it.
frequency block, Justin.
No, don't do that, bro. Don't do that, bro. Don't mock me, bro. Don't mock me, because I'm not here to. Because
I
you asked me a
apologize.
question.
I apologize.
You look,
So
look. You
you
I
asked me.
you've been
apologize.
good. You've been good. Sorry.
Yeah, you asked me a question, and I'm giving you my. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's just what I know because y'all asking me questions on it. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. This is just what I know, and this is why I stand where I stand because I've had experiences and it led me to this. Right. So yeah, but yeah, I out the back of and mind you, I remember the car. It was a 2013 Honda Pilot I was in. Right. I woke up and I seen it. And okay, so boom, it was a go. It was three ghosts floating around the deep freezer with a candle in the middle of them. Like it was on a corner.
In a
So you
deep
got one,
freezer?
no, around the deep freezer, like on the corner of the deep freezer.
Well, I've never seen an outdoor deep freezer. Can you help me out here?
It's in a garage. Deep freeze like a big white box. You plug it in the wall, and it's like you open it, and you put stuff in there, it freezes. Like you
Gotcha.
could, yeah,
So
right.
just
And
a freezer. Okay.
okay, yeah. So and they standing around it. Okay, and I'm like, huh, mom, where are you? Boom, boom, boom. So I ran to the door. It was locked. I went back to the car and grabbed a nickel. And I was like, oh, okay. I got in, turned around, and it was gone. Right, ran upstairs and told him. I went to sleep. Woke up the next morning. Mom, I seen. And I'm 9 years old, so I was in Christianity around that time too. So I thought they was angels. And then my grandma said you could only tell by your faith. If you were scared, then they was demons. So I mean, I'm young, I'm gullible at that point. So I'm like, it's my grandma, I'm learning from I'm learning from my elders, right? So, and I'm 9 years old, so I can't necessarily make up my own assumptions in a way, like I'm still under the authority of my parents and beings, right? So, when they said it, I was like, well, I was scared, said it was demons, right? But now I'm looking at it like, what if I just didn't have knowledge of what it actually was, so I can make a general assumption? I mean, a better assumption rather than just saying because I was scared, right?
I apologize for interrupting. I just
All
want
right.
to make sure I understand. So you had an experience where you saw something that you couldn't explain.
No, no,
You
no.
explained it
I
one
can explain what
way,
it was. Yeah, I can
and
explain what it was.
then later on you're saying you got different knowledge, right? So you have a different
Right, right.
interpretation now.
Yeah.
Where did you get that different knowledge?
Yeah, I just told you it was my grandma from
No,
Christianity.
no, I mean now, right?
Okay,
Now
got
you
it
look
now.
back on
Okay,
it
so boom.
differently, right?
After I went through that, skip forward to okay, my dad left at 10. Boom, I'm not going into that. He left. Boom. So now I'm lost. I need help. I need direction. I want to do right by the world. I'm an outgoing child. I smile a lot. This is just who I am. I'm not just being this to be.
I'm sorry, but I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
asking like
I got you. I
what
got
your
you. But I'm
story
telling you,
is for that.
I'm
I'm
trying to
just saying,
skim.
where's
I'm
the
trying to skim through it.
information?
Yeah,
Like, where are
I'm
you
trying to
getting
skim
that
through it
information?
I'm skimming through it to get to that point. I got you. I'm skimming through it to show you how I got to this point to where now I know the information. I got the papers right here, but you know what
So
I'm saying? I
this
got
is information you're reading somewhere?
that as a catalyst. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, no,
So
I'm
that way,
sorry. Is this something you have read in a book?
what my experience or
No,
what
no.
I'm telling you, like frequency bands and energy and all that.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
interpretation of
Uh-huh.
what happens. Did you read that somewhere?
No, no, no. Listen, I'm getting to that. I'm trying to
Well,
get
I
to that.
need you to be more concise here.
Yeah, I'm trying to. But before I evaluated on what my experiences, I said I'm gonna skim through it, so that way, and then if you need help understanding, I'm gonna stop until you understand.
I think
We'll help
you're
you understand
misunderstanding the question though. I'm not asking for how you
how I got to
eventually
this point.
arrived at the
Okay.
information. I'm asking
Oh
what
yeah.
is the source of the
Oh
information.
yeah. Then when I came in, I said it's the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order teachings.
The what?
The Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order teachings, freedom teachings. Another way you could say it as well.
Freedom teaching?
Yeah, basically teaching us that the power is already within us. We just have a hard time because I don't know necessarily like when you say your imaginary God is imaginary, because that's how that being came to us.
Wait,
Are
I'm
you
sorry.
Around
So
that
what
time.
is a freedom teaching something that is a book that you read on the internet? What
Yeah, that too. Yeah, Voyages 1 and 2. Voyages Sleeping Abductees and Voyages Volume 2, Secrets of Amenti.
secrets of
Those
a what?
Amenti. The sphere of Amenti, the secrets of that. The secrets of the sphere of Amenti. Right? So and those are my tangible evidences as to why I know what I know now and why I've seen things that I couldn't explain back then, but now I can explain it because wait a second, it adds up. It
Yeah,
makes so much sense.
I found the document you're referring to. It is in fact available on the internet.
Is it archive.org? Because that's the best way. It's free, so you don't got to buy it.
Well, the one I found was on Document, but I guarantee it's on archive.org, which I love, archive.org. Yeah.
And what I've done was, so I don't have to
So
keep going into the internet.
it's
I printed everything out.
Angelic Realities. Is that the first one?
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, I got to get to that one though. Yeah, I need to. Oh, I got to download that one for sure.
And
Yeah,
Voyagers 1 and 2.
I'm into. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so this is where you're getting these ideas from.
Yeah. Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Feel free.
So it sounds like what you were saying earlier is that you felt as though some years ago you were mistaken, and then you learned more, and so now you have different beliefs. Was I hearing that right?
No, I have different knowings, not beliefs. I don't believe, so I know though. I know it for it to be true.
That
Okay, so
doesn't
what is
follow.
knowledge?
How doesn't it? Oh, well, we're not gonna get it because that's a whole other conversation. I don't. Yeah. Well, you could ask a
What
question a lot.
what does it mean to know something?
You have tangible evidence as well as you look at it from a neutral standpoint in order to pull more information. Like me having a conversation with y'all, I'm not just coming to y'all from my standpoint. I'm listening to y'all so I can respond. If I'm coming to y'all from my own standpoint in a way to where I'm trying to make it seem like I'm right, then I can't get it. I won't be able to have a conversation with y'all. Right? So
Okay,
by me knowing, I have to have tangible. It's required for me to have tangible evidence, as well as a personal experience, as well as being in a neutral state, so that way, is it just because I'm thinking of it this way, is this why this happened? Or what if I just sit back and like I ask the question, but I don't think I know the answer to the question? Like it's like asking a question that I already know the answer to. So when you answer it, I'm like, no, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. Then that's wrong.
Do,
I'm asking a question.
do you understand that? Do you take it to mean when somebody has a belief that, generally speaking, they're just simply accepting a certain proposition to be true?
That's what a belief is.
Okay, so how is knowledge different from belief?
Because knowledge is a catalyst. Knowledge is what catalyzes. Do you know what? Do you know what? Well, sparks. Knowledge sparks the coming of true knowing. Because knowledge
Do you realize you just used the word knowledge in your
and
definition of
knowing,
knowledge,
yeah,
which is circular?
knowledge and knowing is like.
I am
But
so confused.
what do we see? Not so when you speak of knowledge, are you saying it as like evidence that we see outside of us, or personal renditions, or?
Well, I'm just asking your view. I don't know, just so you know, I have some training in philosophy, and we think about this because this is a topic in philosophy known as epistemology, which is the study of the theories of knowledge. And a very commonly accepted definition of knowledge is justified true belief. So I'm asking if that's your understanding of knowledge, or if you have some different understanding of what knowledge means.
Yeah, because I think knowledge is what you just said as well. But damn, matter of fact, I'm gonna go off of what you said, bro, because I agree with that. Knowledge is justifiable. That's what knowledge is. Yes. So that means you have tangible evidence and resources as to why your claim is true.
Okay,
And
so no, I appreciate that. So my last thing, because I know we're
and I
kind of
gave him
going on a
tangible
rabbit hole, and
evidence. I gave him the
um,
tangible evidence and resources of where I got my information.
Well,
well, we can touch on that in a
So
second. I'm sure Justin will
well,
get to
we're
this
not
in a
going.
second
I'm just
about
letting. I'm just letting
evidence,
you know
right? Because like it could be argued very much that a book of some kind is not necessarily evidence; it's a claim. But I have a
Right.
I
Right.
think a more foundational, pivotal question, which is
Okay.
to your understanding, what do you think it is, that is like the most reliable way for human beings in general to
Hmm.
separate fact from fiction and correct for error?
Go with the open mind and not be biased. That's the best way.
Okay, but that's maybe a stance of your mind. I mean, what's a method? Is there a
What's the
most
method?
reliable method? Because you
Hey,
admit that human
okay.
beings make mistakes in reasoning, right?
Mistakes.
Right. Do human beings have false beliefs?
False beliefs? No. People, everyone's belief is valid, because they believe it for a reason. They had certain experiences
That's not
that's
what I
not.
asked you. No, I'm asking,
So I
is it
don't believe in
possible for
false
a
beliefs.
person
I
to
don't.
believe
Well,
something
I
and
know
be
false beliefs don't
incorrect?
exist. False beliefs don't exist though. Like, what is a false belief? It's not a false belief.
I asked you because I want to get away from the words and get to the meaning. So,
Okay, got you. All right.
under your view, is it possible for somebody to believe something to be true, but it's actually not true?
like Santa Claus existing.
Yeah, it's possible to believe something like that because it was told to
Okay.
you. Told to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I'm
I was
offended because
actually
I
thinking
believe
of
in
a
Santa
murder, for
Claus,
example,
though.
or schmurder. But
Well,
yeah, let's
guess
say,
what?
yeah.
Me too.
Go-
I believe. I think
Okay.
Santa Claus exists. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm playing into a
So,
game. You think I
Nah,
believe in
no,
Santa
but
Claus, man?
no,
nah.
but
Hell
it
no.
sounds like we might be getting somewhere. So give me 2 seconds.
You know
So
Santa
it sounds
Claus.
like what you're saying it is possible for a human being to believe a certain thing to be true, but be mistaken about that
Yeah,
belief.
it's like a
Correct?
half truth. It's like a half truth, distorted truth.
Right. So you might think to yourself when you wake up in the morning that it's raining outside, but all of a sudden
You
you
be like, hold
discover
on.
that might have been your phone or something, and you look outside
Yeah.
and you go, "Oh, it's not raining." So you were mistaken in that case, correct?
Yeah, yeah. You was like, man, what the heck? It's not raining outside. That was my
Okay.
phone. I had a rain sound on. So yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So my question then is, what would be a most reliable method, right? Not a state of mind, but a method that other people can use to correct for error and check to make sure that our beliefs are aligning with reality in the best way possible, according to your view?
Gotcha. And it's like if I'm reading a book, I'm not just reading it to believe it. I'm reading it with an open mind and feeling what it is. Not, and I'm not just going off of, oh, this is what, oh, I felt God said this and God said, no, not that. As you're reading the book, and okay, a method is like a practice. Is it a practice?
Well,
It can be a practice, yeah.
let
Go
me
ahead,
use a
Justin.
concrete example to, I think, get everybody on the same page, right? So, for example, in the holy text that you're referring to, it says that we have a 15-dimensional human anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got a medical doctor and a physiologist on the panel, and
Who is a physical a doctor and like
so
who
so
is
Ems is a medical doctor, and Leaving
gotcha.
Faith is a physiologist.
Hey,
Both of them hold a doctorate, and I don't think either one of them are under the impression that the human body has a 15-dimension anatomy
If there was
structure.
15 layers of
I
this
agree.
shit, I would
Yeah,
have
I
dropped
agree.
out.
I agree.
Right. So I think what Aaron is trying to suggest here is we can have a belief, but at some point we have to apply some methodology to determining whether or not that belief is warranted. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the methodology to warrant a belief like we have a 15-dimensional anatomy? How do we get there?
Is meditation a meditation a methodology method? It's a practice, right? He said Philo said meditation is a practice. I mean, my fault. Method is a practice. Meditation is a practice.
It's
It's a
a
method at
Sure,
which
but
it's a
I
method at
remember I
which you
use the
can.
word reliable, right? That's most important. How do we make sure that the method we're using is not just any old method? Because some methods we know are not reliable. I'm asking, how do we use method or methods do we use that we know are reliable and could correct for error?
You have to have different sources as to which you receive information, so you can be like, okay, I learned from this person. This is why I'm here, so I can look at it from y'all standpoint. And am I missing anything? Like, is this like because like
Well,
I
the point
said,
that I was trying to make, just it's
yeah,
kind of coming back to when we first started chatting, which you mentioned something about science. You said science is limited. As
look,
far as I know, the
I'm telling
most
you the
reliable
method.
method, whether it's limited or not, I think that's not relevant. As far as I know, the most reliable method that mankind has for separating fact from fiction and correcting for error is science. Every other method is bogus.
And what science are you speaking of? Contemporary science, metaphysical science, this science, what science? Pseudoscience, what
This
science?
the scientific method.
And which created by who? What doctrine is that? Where did scientific method originate?
The
Science,
scientific
the
method
scientific method is a process.
is a process that we've
Mhm.
always engaged in, right? When we observe the world around us, make predictions and hypotheses, and then we test them to see if they come true. Like for example, in my job, sometimes I design machines for a living. Sometimes we have an
Mhm.
idea and we say, hey, it should be possible for us to design a machine that does X, Y, and Z based on what we know. And then we
Right,
try to
right.
design that thing to do X, Y, and Z. And then if it doesn't work, well, shit, we learned something that it doesn't work. If it does work,
Doesn't
that
work.
means our theory was true. This is essentially the scientific process. We observe the world around us and we say, based on what we observe, we can make a prediction. This should
Mhm.
happen. This thing should occur. If X, Y, and Z happen, then A, B, C should be the result. Then we do X,
Right,
Y, and Z and see if A, B, and C is the result. And so, but this,
right.
we refer to the scientific process, but it's always been happening through all of human history.
Okay. Right. So when you say X, Y, and Z, this is like we do X, Y, and Z to get to the root cause and the answer. My X, Y, and Z is external research, which is by paper, talking to y'all. It's also coming from a neutral standpoint, which is my X is the external research, right? My Y is the neutral standpoint. My Z is the going within and consulting and making sure like, is this something that I want to continue to study when I exit this world, like exit
None
this
of
world?
that is science, and none of it is an experiment. May I ask what
What
was
is it? So
the
how can
last level
how
of
can you
science
say
education that you
what I'm
had?
how can you say what I'm saying isn't an experiment when I'm conducting experiments on myself to make sure I'm not lying to myself?
You haven't described anything that is an experiment. You have just asserted that
I
you've
just told you an
decided that you're
experiment.
coming
My
from a neutral
experiment,
standpoint.
listen, my experiment is talking to y'all,
That's not an experiment.
studying this paper, going within and viewing the
No,
world and looking at the world from an observative standpoint rather than
no,
just bias and saying the world is the way it is because this is how it is. Wait a
no.
second. So why
Well,
do we have secret societies? Why do we
well, let
have
me
teachings in the first
Wait,
let
place?
will you answer my question about your science education?
Okay, so from
What was the
science,
highest level of science you've taken?
when I started, okay, look, science was one of my favorite subjects, right? But it got on my nerves. I stopped studying the way science was taught to us school in what was it, ninth grade, because I got tired of the periodic table. Yeah,
So, have you
I got
finished high
tired of it.
school?
I graduated. I had more than enough credits. I graduated. But purpose, look, I personally left high school to go to military school because I just couldn't do sitting behind the desk no more. It just made I like it. What we was talking about wasn't interactive. Like it wasn't interactive.
So the point that I was making really quick, I know Justin's going to jump in here, is reliability. That's extremely important because if we have a process that is not reliable, that's shown over time independently, right? Other people test that method and it turns out that method is not reliable. We
Right.
should toss that method because it doesn't get us where we
So
want to go.
so now
Right? So if I have a method that says I'm going to do a self-test, we know over the history of humanity that method is not reliable. We need independent testing and independent verification to check for error. And the method it sounds like the method that you just described to us is just that thing. It's not reliable.
how isn't it reliable if I'm looking at the world and the things that
Because human beings have a
listen.
tendency to make errors.
So how? Okay, matter of fact, I would like to know some methods that y'all use in order to conduct research, so I can try to use them and see if it see
Well,
if it fits.
I'll give you
'Cause
one.
that's how. Yeah, this is how I study.
I'll give you
Yeah.
one because I think this helps to demonstrate when we're talking about spiritual matters. This helps to demonstrate the difference between reading a book and doing a real science experiment, right? So
okay.
the lady who wrote the books you're referring to, Ashiana Dean, as far as I can tell, has no education. She has no idea what she's doing. But
So
real
when you say
people,
education,
hold on,
what
hold on,
education like?
hold on, hold on, hold
What
on,
form of
hold on,
education?
hold on.
Okay.
Real people who study science as a profession, like that's what they do all day, have tried to conduct experiments to see if there are supernatural events. So one of my favorite, and people who've been here for a while know this already, is I love a guy named Sam Parnia. He's a medical doctor. He wanted to do research on near-death experiences and see if there's anything to this whole thing. And so he set up hospital rooms. He had 25 different hospitals participate in the first project and then more in the second project. And they put stuff in the hospital rooms that you would only be able to observe if you, in fact, left your body. If you're sitting there on the table getting resuscitated, you would not see them. And then for a period of 8 years, they recorded every resuscitation they did and recorded if that person experienced leaving their body or if they experienced a supernatural phenomenon, and they basically gave them a quizzes at the end of it. This happened over the course of 8 years, and then they did another one that just terminated in 2023. It's the Aware Project #1 and the Aware Project #2. And what they discovered is that many people report leaving their body when they're having a near-death experience. Not one of them could actually validate that by saying, I observed the thing that I should be able to observe if I did in fact leave my body. And we've had a number of studies like this that have been conducted where people are convinced that their experience is true, but when they're asked to provide the evidence that would confirm their experience, they're never capable of doing it. That's a proper science experiment.
I got you. Yeah. And it all and from like when I like as I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm also like receiving like information on it as well. Like I'm not just like coming up with this stuff. I'm neutral right now. I'm not like, oh, this is no, what he just said was wrong. I'm just filtering. I'm just saying, no. What you said was he conducted a research, people leave their body, but they can't give us a count on like what exactly occurred when they left their body. They just said they left it.
Well,
Wow,
they tell us what happened. The problem is they can't confirm the physical hard evidence that would validate it. And there's been other studies where they've triggered purposely out of body experiences using deep brain stimulation and using DMT. They've
Gotcha.
on purpose taken subjects and triggered out of body experiences and asked them to confirm things once they leave their body, and they never can.
They can't because their consciousness is not able to even manufacture. I mean, it's not even able to form a structure around it because their consciousness has been formed in the body so long they don't understand how energy works when they leave the body.
They can't do it because they're hallucinating. They're not having a real experience.
But the person literally just had a near-death experience.
They didn't. They only believe that they're out of their body. They're not actually out of their body.
There's
They
another
believe that they're
example
out of
really
their body.
quick that I
So
can.
so what exactly did the study conduct? Like did they like you said they was put into a deep like brain uh trance in a sense?
So there's regions of the brain that you can stimulate that actually triggers people's spiritual experiences, including out of body experiences. And using
Gotcha.
deep brain stimulation, they've triggered people so that they report leaving their body, but they know this is an experiment, right? So they're told beforehand, if you leave your body, turn around and tell us what you can observe, because and they have very clear identifying markers for what they should be able to observe if they did
Mhm.
in fact leave their body. And these people get their brain triggered, they claim
Yeah,
they left their body, but they can never report the
they
actual
can't report.
physical observation that they should be able to see. They can't do it.
Right. Because their consciousness is not able to be formed. Their consciousness doesn't have the ability to form within that confined system that they enter when they left.
That's not it. Philo Dragon, what was
No.
the experiment you're referring to?
So this is actually a pretty easy one. It's pretty intuitive as well. There are many. I was going to bring up David Blaine. I don't know if it's all
Oh
within
yeah,
if you know who
yeah,
David Blaine
magic.
is. Okay, but there are many magicians around the world that will go to third world countries and they will do magic tricks on the street. And people there who are unfortunately unlearned, they will be absolutely convinced that
Yeah,
this person has done the supernatural, when
no, he
in
did it right.
reality they have not. It's just that the people themselves have been tricked. And the point I'm trying to make here, of course, is that it is very possible and a common occurrence, that human beings are tricked by others and also can trick themselves.
So so can I? So yeah, yeah, because I don't think magic the way David Blaine was doing magic is not magic. Like that's just doing like you know the magic trick of making it feel like your finger came off. Like people will be like, "Dang, what the heck? Like it looked real." Like no, it didn't come off. It just looked like that's an illusion. At which
That's
that
the
trick.
point I'm making, is that
Right,
people believed
exactly.
it just as you
Yeah,
do.
yeah. So they come to a magic show to see magic, so they're gonna believe it because
No, 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 no.
they
That's not
already
what I said. He goes on the
they already
street.
buy
They
it.
don't know who he is.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They
Okay.
don't. I'm saying this. It's all within. I'm
I
asking
got
you
you,
to
bro. I
think
got you.
critically,
Yeah, I
right?
got
When
you. My
you read
fault.
a book that says spirits and magic and this and this and this, instead of saying, "Oh, it just resounds with my previous beliefs," why not stop and
Mm.
say, "Wait, hold on. I should be skeptical of this."
Which is what I am skeptical. That's why we're here.
Okay.
I'm still in a state of like, how does this even merge with things like, you know what I'm saying? Because if I was 17 where I was worshiping ancient gods, I wouldn't be able to have this conversation because I wasn't open minded. You know, so this study in a way it assisted me in keeping my mind open because look, let me tell you something. When I was early on, look, when I was studying this early on, I was putting it in a sense of a doctrine, like I mean a dogma. I was saying this is right, and I was like, wait a second, I gotta slow down because that's not what it's saying. It's not telling me that it's a dogma, but I'm saying it's a dogma. So why am I? You know what I'm saying? So and that's why me having these conversations, it
Do you
helps
mind
me
if I
like
ask
guarantee
Justin and Sarah
hold
and
that I'm saying.
philosophy?
You know what I'm saying? So
Am I
is
the
it
only one who's confused? I feel like
Yeah,
I
I've
came out with nothing.
I've
I'm,
actually
I,
gotten lost as well in this
I've never felt
conversation.
stupider.
And I think listen, it's all within. You've been perfectly nice and charitable to us, and we appreciate you
gotcha,
for
bro.
that. But I think we might have reached the end of what we can do in this conversation, and it might be time to move
Yeah.
on.
And I appreciate y'all for listening, y'all. I'll go to the next live. I appreciate y'all, man. For
Thank
real,
you,
bro. I
and I
really and
apologize
I
for
feel
the
like y'all
joke.
really helped me like articulate myself better and not come from a because I'm not coming from a one-sided standpoint. I'm here to hear everybody.
We
And I feel
believe
like
you,
yeah.
but I,
And
you
I feel
sound
like
like a really nice guy.
yeah, I'm being real. This is who I am. I walk around every day with this on my mind and conversate with people about it to understand like, wait a second, you sure? Like how does like this is, you know what I'm saying? So and I appreciate y'all for listening, man. I really do, man. Thank y'all, man.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Bye.